Yeah, it's gonna grow. I don't know. The mayor says it's a good town, so I believe it.
It's good. I love it.
I've been here for 22 years. It better be.
Yeah.
Congressman Soto.
I came prepared.
How are you doing today?
Doing great. How's it going?
We're going just great. You want to have anything you want to tell the candidates, our folks to get out and vote?
Well, we're so excited to be here at the Puerto Rican Day Parade. Obviously, this is part of our diverse community. It's the same route that we take for the Martin Luther King Jr. Parade, which is super exciting as well. And it's another day of cultural pride to show the diversity and the strength of this community. But we need to make sure that all of our communities go out and make their voice heard by voting this November 6th. And I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you.
All right.
There you go.
Oh, look at the baby.
That's right. That's right. All right, the dog. Again. You got the ducks that want to be on. That's in the parade. There you go. There you go. I know. That's the way like that. I love that part.
We got to tell them. Bill Nelson. That's going to come out.
This great event and just be together with the families. To me, it's an honor to be right next to Senator Bill Nelson. Senator Bill Nelson is a true statesman. This man has protected this state from so many bad things that could have happened to it. He's protected Medicare. He's protected the environment. He's protected Social Security. This is the person that we always need. And this is why me, as the mayor of Kissimmee, I endorse Senator Nelson to stay in his office and continue to protect the seniors, the veterans here in our state. And Senator, it was an honor to ride in this vehicle with you today in the parade. And thank you so much for coming here. And it's an honor to be next to you, sir.
Señor Alcalde, es un gran honor para mí en la fiesta de Kissimmee. Thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure for me to serve alongside Darren Soto and to try to get the desperately needed help that Puerto Rico needs. Puerto Rico has not been treated right by FEMA and the rest of the administrative agencies. It shouldn't take 10 or 11 months to get electricity restored. And you should have a plan for distributing all the food that sat on the docks and rotted in the port. You can imagine that the way that somebody in Texas or Florida would respond if FEMA was treating them like that, and these are our fellow U.S. citizens in Puerto Rico. So it's been my pleasure to try to look out for the interest of our fellow Americans in Puerto Rico. And now, since we have such a vibrant Puerto Rican community here in Central Florida, what a treat for me to participate in the first Puerto Rican parade. And it'll be an annual affair every year.
Every year. We hope to have it every year. Also with us, so many elected officials in our community. Congressman Soto, thank you so much for being with us. Commissioner Janer, thank you so much. Commissioner Edie, thank you for being here next to us. And Representative John Cortez back here, Senator Torres, and I have Commissioner Jim Fisher right behind me. And to us, it's always an honor to stand with us, with the Senator. And we have Commissioner Cheryl Grieve, I didn't see. Commissioner, thank you for being here also with us.
Thank you, sir.
Congressman, thank you. Thank you for riding in this great parade.
Just briefly, Mayor, first of all, Senator, welcome back to Kissimmee. It's been a long time since the rodeo days when you first started joining parades here to now seeing the evolution of not only having that, but also this is the home to the Puerto Rican Day Parade, the Martin Luther King Jr. Parade, and you have been there to help all of our communities. It's a bittersweet moment. A little after a year after Hurricane Maria hit the island of Puerto Rico, and there's been a lot of work that we've been able to do together. I want to thank you for going down and helping out down there, traveling with me, along with helping out many Puerto Rican evacuees and Virgin Island evacuees who came to Central Florida, and you've been a big help along with this whole team here of elected officials. And that's why we stand with you today, because when we needed you most, you were there. And it's, while we celebrate our heritage, we also know the job still needs to continue to get done, and that's why we're here today.
I've had the good fortune of a number of the major elected officials in Puerto Rico to support me from all the Puerto Rican parties, such as Governor Pedro Rosselló, one of the most popular former governors, such as Governor Alejandro Garcia Padilla, along with the mayors of Ponce and San Juan, have all endorsed me, and I'm very grateful. Now, before I get away, since we're talking about Kissimmee in the old days, I have to tell you, when I was a young congressman, Osceola County was in my congressional district. And of course, I would come to the Silver Spurs Rodeo every year, and I would ride in the rodeo. They had introduced the big boss, and he'd run the horse out into the middle of the arena, tip his hat. Then they'd introduce their congressman. And I'd ride this old gentle horse, but I'd get him going as fast as he could go. I'd get out in the arena, tip my hat, run him back in, out of the arena, and I'm getting off the horse, and this old squint-eyed cowboy comes up and says, "Congressman, you ride pretty good. You ride a lot." I said, "Yes, sir, every 6 months right here."
Also with us, Senator, is here Senator Torres from Tallahassee. Always thank you so much for supporting so much City of Kissimmee and being here with us. You have a few words for the Senator?
A few words. This is the man, U.S. Senator Bill Nelson. As a state senator representing the largest population of Puerto Ricans, I urge todos los latinos tienen que apoyar a Bill Nelson para el Senado. Tienen que salir a votar. This is our time. This is our voice. We need to support those who are going to help us and help our families and make this state what it used to be. We need to change, and we need the help of Bill Nelson to be in the U.S. Senate, like Darren Soto, as well as the governorship. Everything we need to be done. This is it. This is our ticket. This is our winning ticket. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Commissioner Janer, you got a few words?
Well, as I said before, I'm Commissioner Viviana Janer. I'm the only and the first Hispanic commissioner here in Osceola County, the only Puerto Rican, and I am proud to stand by Senator Nelson, because Senator Nelson stood by us in a time of need when we were the only local hurricane Maria Reception Center, welcoming people to Osceola County that were looking desperately for places to stay. We had people from Senator Nelson's office with us all the way, as well as Congressman Soto's office. So these are the people that we have to support. These are the people that we have to get behind. We have to make sure Senator Nelson is reelected to the Senate.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You know, thank you again for coming today. As the mayor said, you are a statesman, and I stand with you. I stand with you because you're not just for Osceola County and the city of Kissimmee, you are for all Floridians, and I'm very grateful for what you have done along with Congressman Soto, and I hope that you both continue to do that and make Florida great.
All right.
Commissioner Edie, got a few words?
Yes, Senator Nelson, Senator Soto, I like the fact that you believe that the only race that matters is the human race. So I stand with both of you. So we need to get out and vote for these two gentlemen to keep this going. Thank you.
Representative Cortez?
I would like to say I support Senator Nelson. He has my endorsement, and I say he helps out all constituents of Florida. When I mean the whole entire Florida.
End this parade with great people that represent us. You know, we're here to work for the entire community. We're here to work for our constituents. And this is what Senator Nelson has always done in office. He has worked for the ones that really need the help. He's always said, here I am. He's not afraid to roll up his sleeves. His trips to Puerto Rico have not been trips to collect money. It's been trips to really help the community of Puerto Rico and the Puerto Ricans that had to move here because of that hurricane. So again, thank you so much, Senator. Thank you for your work, and thank you for all that support that you always give us.
I would just like to conclude by saying of my several trips down there, I didn't stay in San Juan. I went up into the mountains to Utuado, and then on another trip to Las Piedras, where 8 months after the hurricane, a third of that city of 30,000 people still didn't have electricity. It's unconscionable. Darren and I were there together. We went to a hospital. They had to abandon the top 2 floors of the hospital because of all the rain that had turned into mildew and mold. And they tried to restore the lower floors, and yet you could still smell that mildew as in a functioning hospital. This is what has happened to our fellow American citizens, and it should not be tolerated. We thought we'd seen that mistakes in the past, like Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. Well, when the people had to move from New Orleans to Houston, Texas, the Federal Emergency Management Organization supported them with housing funds. They would not activate that statute and use those same housing funds that they use for the people that evacuated from the island. They wouldn't use those as they use for the people that evacuated from New Orleans to another state. Puerto Ricans have not been treated the same, and this needs to never happen again.
Amen. Thank you.
Senator, how do you plan to make some of the things that you talked about a priority, even if you are elected in November? What needs to happen next?
Well, first of all, you have to tell a lot about where a fellow's going by where he's been. And so in every piece of legislation, tax legislation affecting Puerto Rico, Medicaid, of which they desperately need health care funds, Medicare, all of which Puerto Rico, even bankruptcy laws, that Puerto Rico has been treated as second-class citizens. So look at the record there of standing up for Puerto Rico before you ever get to the hurricane. And then once the hurricane happened, of course, Darren and I have been there in the front lines trying to get the assistance, having a great deal of difficulty with this administration's FEMA.
And there's several things that have to happen. One, they need to pass the Nelson Soto Disaster Housing Assistance Program bill that the senator was talking about that would provide longer-term housing. Two, we need a supplemental disaster relief package. We also have Hawaii and California that just faced huge natural disasters, and Congress needs to get its act together and have a heart again. We had over 3,000 Puerto Ricans die on the island because of inaction. And then thirdly, we need to continue to address the debt on the island and economic development on the island so that they can prosper again. Puerto Rico se levanta con la ayuda de Nelson.
Can you imagine what would happen to a state if 3,000 people died as a result? You know, the last time that happened as a result of the hurricane, it was the late 1920s when 3,000 people were drowned in and around Lake Okeechobee. You can't imagine that happening in modern day America. And in fact, it happened to our own U.S. fellow citizens down in Puerto Rico. 3,000 people died, now an undisputed number, down in Puerto Rico as a result of the hurricane.
And what do you think needs to be done to address the needs of people who are now call themselves Floridians, who are still Puerto Ricans, but now live here in the state of Florida?
Well, first of all, elections have consequences. And this is a time to register their wishes for the future as to what kind of representation they want. Do they want the continuation of the same administrative policies that we've seen? I don't think Puerto Ricans that live in Florida that know what happened in Puerto Rico, or I don't think Puerto Ricans in Florida that know what happened to the people who evacuated and needed that additional housing just like Katrina got 10 years ago. I don't think they are going to be pleased with that, and they ought to go and register their sentiments by voting in this election.
And if they're not considered Floridian, they are considered American citizens, and we need to remember that. They're American citizens. They fought in our wars. We need to treat them with equal rights as every other citizen that lives here in the United States, because they are citizens. And so we need to make sure that we have people in office, like the senator, like the congressman, that makes sure that reminds those other congressmen and senators that they are American citizens. That is one of the number one priorities that we need to look at.
And there are several things we could do, not only to help out recent Puerto Rican evacuees, but all Central Floridians, like making sure that we double down on